Welcome to the Equestrian Volunteer Induction video. If you're watching this video, it means you're joining us as a volunteer, and we'd like to offer a big warm welcome.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome. 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 Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome. You're joining a volunteer workforce of over 20,000 volunteers, and it's great to have you on board.
Volunteers are the backbone of the equestrian industry. Without your help, we wouldn't be able to operate.
We know your time is very important. No matter what your role is or how often you volunteer, your contribution is invaluable. Thank you.
This induction video will equip you with everything you need to know to get started as a volunteer. We're committed to building a user-friendly volunteer development program to make your experience as fulfilling as possible. Every weekend, events are held across the state. These events, ranging from pony club rallies to international events, are not possible without the support and skills of equestrian volunteers. These events form the backbone of participation and competition opportunities for the sport, and there is an ever-increasing need for volunteers. As a volunteer, you will receive training tools and resources to help you in your role. Whether you are volunteering for a day or for years, we value your contribution and want your time as a volunteer to be rewarding. By watching this induction video, you have taken the first step in your volunteer training. The important information in this induction video will help you in your role as a volunteer. This video will outline volunteer code of conduct, legal responsibilities, insurance, horse safety, occupational health and safety, radio protocol, dealing with the media, volunteer resources, sharing of knowledge. Your welfare is paramount, and it is important that you receive this information and are familiar with it at all times.
As a volunteer, you'll be required to sign a code of conduct. This code of conduct is a very clear understanding between you as the volunteer and the organisation you're working with. It outlines how organisations are to conduct themselves when working with volunteers and how volunteers conduct themselves in their roles. It is a mutually signed agreement that outlines the vision and mission, roles and accountability, reporting lines and horse welfare. It also ensures that we all fit in with the mission and goals of the equestrian sector. The equestrian sector is committed to supporting and recognising our volunteers and providing a safe working environment, free from discrimination or harassment, and the Code of Conduct ensures that this is always adhered to. You can download the Code of Conduct from the volunteer portal on the Equestrian Victoria website or obtain one from your club or association.
In your role as a volunteer, you may be required to comply with legal requirements including a National Police check, Working with Children check, as well as be familiar with relevant constitutions. You will be provided with more information regarding this from your volunteer coordinator or association.
Once you have registered as a volunteer, you are covered by the insurance of the club or association that you are volunteering with. This cover is designed to protect the volunteer should an incident occur. Note, however, it is everyone's responsibility to act in a safe and responsible manner. For more information on the volunteer insurance policy, you can find it on your club or association's website. Horse welfare and safety is paramount in the equestrian industry for horses, riders and volunteers. It is important that you remember and abide by the guidelines issued by the FEI, the international governing body of the sport. At all stages during the preparation and training of competition horses, welfare must take precedence over all other demands. Horses and competitors must be fit, competent and in good health before they are allowed to compete. This encompasses medication use, surgical procedures that threaten the welfare or safety, pregnancy in mares and the misuse of aids. Events must not prejudice horse welfare. This involves paying careful attention to the competition areas, ground surfaces, weather conditions, stabling, site safety, fitness of the horse for onward travel after the event. Every effort must be made to ensure that horses receive proper attention after they have competed and that they are treated humanely when their competition careers are over. This covers proper veterinary care, competition injuries, euthanasia and retirement. It is important that you are aware at all times of the official procedure to contact the designated vet if required. For more information regarding horse welfare, particularly for volunteer officials, please refer to the relevant guidelines as provided by your association or volunteer coordinator.
It is important that everyone treats occupational health and safety with the utmost importance. Volunteering in the equestrian sector, you'll be working outside and at working sites. Most importantly, you'll be working in close proximity to horses. To ensure everyone's safety, it's important that you observe all safety instructions and any relevant signage at all times. Whether you're familiar with working with horses or not, it is important that you abide by the OH&S rules and instructions, as you will be in a new environment and with horses you are not familiar with. Horses can be unpredictable, so even if you are experienced dealing with them, it is important to always follow the rules in your volunteer role. When in close proximity to a competition area, please give consideration to the horses and competitors and do not run, shout or do anything to prevent the horses from being able to do their best. In addition to riders and horses on site, there is often heavy equipment working on site, particularly at events, and care should always be exercised in these areas. Do not approach a horse unless it is a required part of your role. It is important to note, remain within the designated area for your role. Do not disturb riders by a vicious manner. You are aware of the relevant evacuation procedures and evacuation meeting points. You are aware of who your first aid officer is. You always exercise care when working in areas adjacent to horse activities and always be aware of horse traffic. Use the designated pedestrian paths. Do not approach horses unless permitted by the owner. Do not use flash photography. Do not run on site. You report any accidents, incidents and near misses that occur and document them accordingly with your team leader. You stay hydrated throughout the day. Wear safe and appropriate footwear that is flat, closed toe and heel shoes, no high heels or thongs. Wear weather appropriate clothing, wide brimmed hat, sunscreen for hot weather and warm waterproof clothing for cold, wet weather. Smoking is only permitted in designated areas. Safety at the venue is paramount for riders, and it is important that you are aware of the safety rules and regulations relevant to where you are volunteering. These may include: approved safety helmets must be worn at all times. Any person may lead a maximum of 2 horses while mounted. All signs at the venue must be observed. Horses must be tied up in a safe manner. If you see an incident or inappropriate behaviour, report it to your team leader immediately. In your role, you may be required to lift items such as show jumping poles. Please always exercise care when manual handling and ensure you follow these steps. Always bend at the knees. Always bend with feet and knees pointing in the direction of the item you are lifting. Avoid reaching and lifting higher than shoulder height. Avoid bending of the back. Avoid sideways bending of the back. Avoid twisting of the back. Do not lift anything heavier than your capacity. Always ask your team leader for help if you are not comfortable with lifting or carrying of objects.
A range of resources are available to help you as a volunteer. Position descriptions are available for each of the volunteer streams: volunteer committee members, volunteer officials and volunteer events assistants. The position descriptions include information such as skills required, responsibilities, time commitments and reporting lines. Position descriptions ensure that you as a volunteer and your team leader have the same expectation of you and your role. A code of conduct provides a very clear understanding between you as the volunteer and the organisation or committee you are working with of what is expected when it comes to behaviour in your role as an equestrian volunteer. A set of designated volunteer policies and procedures have been developed for the volunteer workforce. These policies and procedures are designed to ensure the standard of volunteer program is delivered across the industry. Policies and procedures include Code of Conduct, OH&S, Grievance and Conflict Resolution, Risk Management, Recruitment and Volunteer Management. Make sure you are aware of these policies and know where to reference them at any time. This toolkit is a one-stop shop for managing volunteer programs and providing handy hints on recruitment, training, resources, communication, recognition and retention. It has lots of useful links to online volunteer resources as well. These information booklet templates are designed for volunteer managers to use and have detailed information in to help volunteers in their roles. Headings include governing bodies, constitutions, shifts, uniforms, breaks on shifts, working with horses and OH&S. These checklists are useful briefing sheets for volunteer coordinators to use when training, briefing and managing their volunteers. After this video, make sure you head to the volunteer portal on the Equestrian Victoria website or talk to your own club or association and become familiar with all these resources.
Radios are an important part of any event or competition. If you are required to use a radio in your role, it is important you remember. Conduct a radio check at the start of your shift. Speak slowly and calmly. Identify yourself at the start of the call, then clearly state who you are calling. End a call with over if you are expecting a reply. End a call with out if you have finished the conversation. Do not start a new conversation until the airwaves are clear. They are a public forum. Do not discuss sensitive matters. Do not clog the airwaves. If you need to contact someone urgently and, for discreet matters, use the mobile phone.
So it's important to remember that every event or rally or competition will have a designated person whose responsibility it is to take inquiries and to speak to the media. Should you receive any inquiry from the media, no matter how innocent it might appear, you should refer that inquiry to either your volunteer coordinator or team leader for their attention.
As a volunteer, it's important to share your knowledge. We know volunteers have very busy lives and can often only volunteer in a particular role for a short time. It is important to share your knowledge among your club and/or event and other volunteers. Always make sure you complete a detailed handover for your role. This will ensure a smooth transition. It is also important to be on the lookout for succession planning. For example, if your club treasurer is retiring, do you know someone who can take over their role? Start recruiting before it's too late. You can find tips about succession planning in the Volunteer Management Toolkit booklet.
We have covered a lot of information in this video to help you with your job as a volunteer.
We look forward to working with you and welcome to the Equestrian family.